I have these.
You're welcome back to actual play, Scum and Villainy.
Season 1, episode 3.
Season 1, yeah. We are here. We're very excited to go do some scummy, villainous things. Actually, I don't think they're scummy and villainous at all.
I don't think we've been particularly scummy or villainous.
I don't know. We just haven't tried hard enough.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, I mean, we've got opportunities. We did not deliver a something because we couldn't. And then when given the opportunity to talk to the person who gave us the thing to deliver, Faye kind of just skipped over that and didn't.
Yeah, you kind of were like, "Oh, we're busy." Sorry.
Yeah. So that might be a little scummy.
Go directly to voicemail.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we're here.
All right, so this should be game 3.
Yeah.
And as is our tradition, do you folks want to do a quick review of what happened last time?
Yeah, let's.
That sounds like a good idea.
Sounds good. We went to church jail.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to visit a friend of mine.
Who was in church jail.
I think it was just Space Church, but in Faye's mind, it was church jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had downtime and we docked in a little way station, and
a little oasis, right?
Yeah, a little oasis. Yeah, I think it was called Oasis, right? Is the name of the.
Yeah, it's most of the little stations in between the hyperspace lanes are referred to as oases. This was
I see.
Oases 64. You know, or
It's like Loves, the truck stop.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. So, and the first thing we did was eat a really yummy home cooked meal by Lauren.
So good.
It was very good.
It was good, but it started some.
There's a little drama.
Some sibling rivalry. And yeah, there's a little drama. And then we kind of each tended to our own affairs until we learned 2 important things. One was that Theron, well, why don't you talk about Theron?
Well, so why did we want to go visit Theron? Oh, because Theron is my friend at the church. The Way of Light is the name of the ship, right? So the Way of Light happened to be in the same sector nearby to us, and Theron was likely to have some information or some knowledge about this little star map box treasure thing that we have. And so I was like, "Hey, bud, can we come say hey? I'd really like to see you, and also have some of that fancy space caviar that I know you have on your ship on Space Church," as you're saying. So yeah, he's kind of the second-hand man to Alana, she's kind of the head of the church, right?
Yep. And as far as the sector's concerned, she is the big wig. Yeah.
The bishop of the sector.
She's the Pope.
Yeah.
And
well, at least the cardinal kind of person, but yeah.
And they both have the they both were heretics that came to the faith. So he kind of came on her coattails. At least he came into power on her coattails. We don't know what his religious persuasions actually are, but so they're outsiders in some ways, even though they're high ups.
And their ship is scary close to the system sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're like absorbing power from it, and fiber optic things are like using it to light up the whole ship. And
yeah.
Clearly, Theron was attuning to the star itself when he was examining this precursor artifact that Faye decided she needed to poke and look at while he was examining it. And now she understood it a little bit because I got a better rope than Darren did. Not petty at all. I am and
maybe a little petty.
And it opened up at one of our ship upgrades, which was deep hyperspace lands.
Dark hyperspace lane maps. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
We bought an atlas.
Yeah, we essentially learned that this was a treasure map.
Yeah.
But what came out at dinner is that Lauren and myself had spent all of our money, and so we didn't have any money to fix the ship, so we got some shady repairs by a friend of Faye's that may or may not come to bite us.
Yeah.
They played.
But yeah,
I cheated in
real
cards to make him owe me one so he would fix the ship. Hey now, girls gotta do.
And so we were like, all right, we need to get some money. And Faye, it was your contact, right? Who said, hey, we've got a job for you.
Yeah,
Your
Siani,
agent.
Well, it's a group contact.
Yeah.
Siani
okay.
is our group contact.
Yep.
I happen to have the ability. I happen to have the ability. What is it? Why can't I find it? There's my character sheet. Called I know a guy, which means whenever we land in a new place, I can get us a job. Like it's a free thing that I automatically can get jobs. But we have this interesting choice where you get to pick one. It's not deadly. It pays well enough. It's not a rush job, and it comes from a faction that you trust. And I only picked it pays well. That was the only thing we cared about because we are broke.
Yeah.
Just a little, yeah.
We all have 2 stash now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which
cool.
Boz hid from Lauren.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know why you would do that. That's
Very
so rude.
unreasonable.
So rude.
I don't know if the audience has caught on to this, but Strash did a real nice job of making us extra broke by making our first score, by its very nature, not have payout. I mean, we could have sold it. We certainly could have given it to someone, but of course we're not going to give it to somebody. So we started off going into downtime, needing coin to repair the ship, and eating it instead. Eating that coin. So.
And throwing it on the floor.
Yeah. So Faye is obsessed with the box now. This is kind of a dark obsession going on.
Yep.
Well, cool.
Faye has a clock that is obsessed with the box.
Oh, that's what
Faye's
our clock is
on her way to being obsessed with the box.
Is that what that clock is right now?
That sort of.
Or is that a set clock?
The clock
the
is
voice of the clock?
voice of the box, yeah. And Faye is growing obsessed, but yes, she's feeling the compulsion starting to take root.
Yeah.
Passingly fond of.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
You just
Faye
have a little
loves the
crush
box.
on the box.
No. I mean,
Yes.
I'm not saying Faye doesn't want to make out with this box right now. I'm just saying that. Anyway, the relationship with the box can continue to grow.
Oh,
There's more around there.
Nothing bad will happen.
So I'm going to jump in for just a quick second to paint a couple of minor points here. You guys covered most of the important things. I just wanted to leave a couple of things on the doorstep which may or may not become pertinent this session.
Maybe.
We also got to see Boz getting photos and interacting with her family, and also talking to Aya, where things were sort of patched up with a "you owe me one" kind of intonation at the end of things.
Quite.
And in addition to that, let's see. We discovered that a certain Alveron noble is in the system, which, for those of you that are not necessarily in the know, is also one of the reasons why Slick, aka Lauren, has ended up losing the job with the H&N and is currently hanging out with scummy people in the sector.
With no mattress.
With no mattress. Although that's getting improved. You guys did get crew quarters the next time you have some real downtime.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. I think we have started I think we could say we started to push the stuff out of the cargo bay to make room for crew quarters, but I really want to have a scene where we get it real legit installed rather than just presume that we have them now. I think we should still have little dividers between our hammocks, have little curtains.
Lines.
Yeah,
we're everyone's quietly scuffing out lines and moving them as we argue about the dimensions of these various cabins. Right. Because we each already have one we've picked that doesn't exist yet.
And the last thing that I wanted to note was that we had a very brief interlude, which didn't happen with the crew, but shortly after the crew left, when we saw the dreaded Core, who is Malklaith's personal bodyguard, and a system cop and a Xeno of unknown origin coming on board and hunting for what did you decide? Stacey Mulligan?
Yes, it is Stacey Mulligan.
It's definitely Stacey Mulligan.
I feel like there needs to be a song written about Stacey Mulligan.
Oh my goodness, yes,
Her
please.
name was Stacey.
So
I don't know.
I think that's it for the big events from last time, or this is kind of what I have in my notes.
One thing that I have in my notes is that in the job that we had been assigned, that the where is this? I told Boz that the syndicate was in on the job.
Oh yeah.
And so that's something that's good to remember. Oh, and that the Janus saw our photos and they know who Faye is. And so.
Right. You're speaking of the previous job, though, not the new job, which is relatively unknown to all of us. Yeah. The new job is pull some person off a frozen rock in the IOTA system.
Nothing's going to go wrong.
Nothing
seems legit.
Is going to go wrong at all.
Right.
Although it is fire season in IOTA right now.
Absolutely.
But but because it's freezing, I'm sure the hyperwave lanes will just be nice and
it's fine.
Just like talking about fireworks, they're just pretty from afar.
Even
so one thing that I do want to mention, and for a brief moment, I want to talk to the viewers and the people in chat. Which is a little bit about this game. So as we're getting closer and closer to it, I want to bring up a very important point. What we're doing in this game is creating the world as we go. And one of the things that I want to be very adamant about is the fact that the setting is written as a strong skeleton with some impulses and positions to get the game rolling and to have interesting adventures for the PCs. In particular, what I want to talk about is the box. So the box is obviously a MacGuffin, which in a movie is the thing that everyone wants, but nobody's 100% sure why. But we're about to find out why that is, at least for our story. And what I want to stress for everyone watching, whether this is on YouTube or in chat or whatever, is that this is one interpretation, and it's something that we're coming up for this game. So I've seen the box be capable of turning off gates. I've seen the box be capable of connecting to every Urbot in the galaxy. I've seen the box be capable of allowing people to make new gates. And there have been a lot of uses for it. And what I've come up with is just for our game here. And I want to stress that this is not necessarily the truth of the game as it stands. It's not unwritten facts that everybody should take to heart as canon. It's just canon for our particular instance of the game. So I know that that's part of Core Blades, but I figured that it needs to be said. So whenever you have your home game, I don't know what story you're going to come up with. I'm always excited to hear about it. But that's just something that I wanted to kind of bring up and talk about sort of in the meta design process. So, all right, cool.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Nice.
All right.
So we're going to start a score. But I kind of wanted to squeeze one little tiny scene in at the end of the last one, if that would be okay.
Always, please.
As we're flying off of church jail, Space Church.
Terrible.
I realized this. I was
it's
talking,
a nice place, you guys.
I was talking to John like after the game about this game, and I was raving about it, and I was like, oh, I just had a realization about Faye. So we're gonna let that realization come to light right here. As Faye is piloting the ship out, she's like super annoyed and grumbling. She's like, tell me what I should do and not do, Mr. Church Fancy Pants Theron. Oh, I'm gonna be scared of you, eating your fancy space caviar, rubbing elbows with Lauren, buddy with Lauren, just chummy with Lauren. Yeah, that's fine. You know, and then she like pulls the thrusters and like blasts out. Like just at that point, you know, like when you're like leaving a dock where there's like the slow zone, you have to go really slow, and then you can like go at full speed once you get past. Like she just a little bit before she gets that border, that's when she like blasts the thrusters and like way harder than she needs to. And like we all go like zooming off away from Space Church. She's like grumbling to herself. That's it.
Great.
Just a little,
so
a little color
perfect
of Faye grumbling and upset.
Faye being Faye.
Yeah.
So good.
So
awesome.
Sorry, that was just.
No, I totally.
I don't. That's.
Yes. So I'm going to do one quick scene, just because it's actually something that you folks brought up at the end of last game, and when I was doing my homework by rewatching the last episode, I was like, oh, this is a thing that we should probably showcase. So it's just it's really quick. I just wanted to narrate one thing. You guys are out of the hyperspace lane and approaching the gate to the IOTA system. And in this particular incarnation of the game, the gates are these massive rings. And they're like made out of some unknown stone-like substance. And they hover in space. And as you approach it, you see that there is actually like a column of ships, and all of them are lined up. And you kind of have to get into a queue. And there is a Legion ship there. It's not a battle cruiser. It's like a smallish frigate. And it has like little ships that go by the ships, and they scan them and they check their manifests, and occasionally they'll board one and do a walk around or whatever, because this is the equivalent of space TSA. And which, even though it's military, is somehow less terrible than actual TSA.
Don't bring nukes into the hypergate.
Yeah, well, obviously, but I mean,
well, that's an obvious thing.
You guys have fake papers, right? So like when they come over, they ask to talk to Captain Stacy Mulligan, and I don't know if your ship is listed as the Stardancer in your fake papers, or if you're like the Twilight Waltz or some nonsense.
I don't know. What would Stacy Mulligan's ship be called?
Yeah, I think it's most interesting for us to call the ship the Stardancer, and for each time they somebody like off screen, they're like, oh, and this is the ship, and then like the camera cuts away just before they say the name of the ship, and then I like pick up on the other end and say, yep, we're here. And so we never really know what else it's called until it's necessary.
Awesome.
Perfect.
We know the ship is the Stardancer.
So as you guys are kind of in queue and watching, a ship will approach the gate. Like it'll break off the front of the queue and come up to the gate. You'll see like there's like a couple of ships in front of the gate, and you'll see like they'll flash green lights, essentially like a go. The ship moves up to the gate. They use their jump drive to activate the gate, and the gate being a ring in space, you can see stars on the other side of it, and then there's this like cool big budget CGI ripple effect, and then the stars change to a completely different star field, and the ship enters the gate and for a second turns like weird colors like an aurora borealis, and then it pops out the other side of the gate, and then the gate deactivates, and the process will repeat as ships approach.
Could I propose a total ripoff of Stargate to add a slight dimension to that, which is, could the gate have multiple rings where like it like rotates a little bit to like lock into coordinates, and there's all these, presumably if you got close enough, you could see runes and whatnot carved into it, so that like we know these like couple known destinations, but there's ostensibly things that are unknown about it as well.
There are gates that connect to multiple other gates, but in general, two gates are
linked,
connected one to one.
Two ends of the tube.
That's right. So when it activates, there's some theories amongst guild scientists that actually the two gates are the same gate. And there's some weird spatial properties and whatnot, but no one's been able to prove it because gates are precursor tech, and it's largely not really well understood how they work.
Sure. And if you were to fly through one without your jump drive engaged, you would just go through it and be on the other side of it.
Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
So nobody knows what happens when you take the box through the gate, the lamp.
No.
Space star lamp.
And as a matter of fact, I want to ask, where is it on your ship?
Well, it's in a lunchbox right now.
No, we got an improved space lunchbox.
Oh, that's right.
Theron
gave
us a nice one.
A what vault?
Like a small vault, like a small tiny, like a safe.
It depends. Does Faye have her way? Because if Faye has her way, the vault is open. It's sitting on the co-pilot seat, like the vault, like where, because she's
nope.
And it's like, and she's just like kind of like looking at it like, is she staring at it from a distance?
I think we would have to be significantly convinced for that to be.
All right, cool.
True.
So maybe that was the case until Boz slapped the thing shut and took it away.
Well, so here's what I imagined, because Boz and Lauren had swapped lunchbox empty for very heavy case, because it was heavy indeed walking off of church jail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my imagining is that Boz like took it, put it away somewhere where Lauren doesn't know where to find it, and then it shows back up again on the seat, right. Next to Faye. At which point Boz takes it again, and now I imagine neither of you know where to find it.
Awesome.
That's kind of my hunch.
I get it. Faye is curious about it, but she is not at the moment, as we described, need to have all the time. So yeah, I think she would like make a pouty face when you took it, like, but. And she's actually done a little bit, because the whole point of this is that we have these deep hyperspace lanes. She has transcribed a tiny bit, if that's okay, of what she's seen in it into the navigation computer, so that we can make use of it. Make use of, these. Not that we're going to do that right now, but the idea being that it's
you had
worth
access in time.
Yeah.
Super good.
So
that means we do at least have a like co-pilot seat. What does the cockpit look like? Like Faye spends most of her time there. Like, what does it look like, Sean? What do you think? Like, can everyone stuff themselves in there?
Yeah. I think it's got two. So I'm looking at our lovely image of the, and I feel like, Shosh, you tell me if you have a different idea of this, but in the very center of the front, there's like these four kind of lines, these four sort of slits, it looks like almost. And so I imagine the cockpit is there. So it's a little recessed from the front. It's not at the very, very tip of it. And it's got, like, instead of a door behind it, it's got doors on either side that go into those sort of more bulbous shapes on either side, where there's hallways and things like that. Theoretically, if there was ever a gun system, that might be like lead to one of those. Not that we have anything like that installed. And in terms of the inside of it, it's got that kind of triangular front, so it narrows down like you're going into a back of a staircase in the front. And towards that front, there are the two gaming chair style high back. You can pass out in them. Squishy seat. Yeah, not that she doesn't do it like every other night. Squishy, comfy seats with like the half armrest, so as not to get in the way of piloting, but there if you need to be relaxed, and they spin around. And then just ridiculous amounts of Millennium Falcon-esque wires and crap hanging down. Like, it's not a pretty, meticulous, beautiful ship. Or the wires are usually pushed away, but sometimes when something goes wrong, they pop down,
Sure, the panels are like haphazardly like popped into place, like two of the clips on the panel work.
It's faster to get into them if you don't put all the screws in. Nobody screws their monitor cable in. Come on. That's just folly asking.
Yeah, I don't think I think Lauren maybe once walked in and has never returned. I think he's not interested in being in this place at all.
Yeah.
I imagine there's like tiny little like terrible, how in the back of trucks with their tiny extended cabs, you have those terrible fold down seats.
Yeah.
I imagine there's like one of those that maybe like pulled down for you once and you're just like, no.
Yeah. And Faye has made a point that this cabin gets hot enough that she doesn't want to smell everyone's body odor. So she's like got a vent that's like been pulled from somewhere else to like blow air through the cockpit. So there's like a regular thing. This is totally just Faye trying to cover for herself. But she says it's because of body odor. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a moment where, because you guys have false ship papers and you're not wanted in the system really and all that stuff, this is going to be a smooth process. But there's this moment when you guys get to the front of the queue and you pop up towards the gate and you activate your jump drive and the gate sequence starts locking into position. And the gate itself is kind of weird. Like, the precursors were not, their tech is incomprehensible, and these things are like covered in gargoyles, and they have like you mentioned, they have like weird runes and whatnot. And as you get ready to jump through, the camera in the TV show of this, since we mentioned that the box is not sitting on the co-pilot seat, flows through the ship a little bit, so we get to actually see what the Stardancer looks like a bit. And it ends up where the box is, and it goes into the box, and it ends up near where that little case was for the box. And it goes in and takes a look at the box, and you realize that as the jump drive activates and as the gate sequence starts changing, the star maps appear on the cube. And in particular, one of the lines is highlighted, and like the system that it's in like blinks a couple of times, and it has like markings and like planetary sigils and things like that. And as you guys approach the gate, And as your ship is like entering the translation zone, you for a second out of the corners of your eyes you see some of the shapes on the gate turn around and actually like it's almost like this gargoyle made of stone like turns around to look at your ship, and then you translate. You come out the other side. You check the local time because there is a transit time even though it appears instantaneous, and the gate behind you deactivates and everything's totally perfectly normal.
Nice.
Is the transit time consistent?
No.
Awesome.
Yeah. This is why Precursor Tech's a little... There have been times where large ships have entered and exited before other ships that have gone ahead of them and things like that.
That is so good.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it. So that's a normal thing, right? You're like, oh, that was an 8-minute trip or a 4-hour trip or a whatever.
Even though multi-year trips?
You know what?
Has anyone ever been lost inside and never come back out?
As a matter of fact, there's an entire legion that was lost when they tried transitioning through a specific gate.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, all of this is yes, space. Absolutely, I am saying yes, and so sure, yeah, all of this is like famous starfarers. Sorry, I have a very loving cat who's currently butting up against my leg so ferociously. Very much a spacefarers, tall tales and stories and whatnots. So yeah.
Now, one of the things. Sorry.
I think Lauren is a little scared of gate travel. I think he gets very nervous about it. I just feel like.
So where are you then when we're in the hyperwave?
Yeah.
I think that Lauren has found Boz, even though they're not the tightest of friends. He's like kind of sweaty, and he comes and finds Boz, and he's like, can I just be here for now?
Yeah. And noticing like you're like this is like the distress that looks a lot like when we did the first gig that you went on. It was my imagination, right? Like you look like you're like stressed, sweating to pieces, right?
Yeah.
Like
this is before we jump, right? Like this is like just before we get into
we're like in line. We're like third in line or something at this point.
Why don't you come help me like fix this hinge? They won't stop squeaking and the door's not weighted right. Like,
Great.
Something.
Great.
I feel the need to poke at this, if you'll allow. Right as we get to the gate, I'm like, Boz, I need you in here as co-pilot. I need you in here as navigation before we do the jump.
All right.
So Boz leaves.
Sorry. This is Sean being cruel in the most loving way.
And Lauren is kind of like trying to be cool, but looking at Boz.
I'll look at you knowing that you're like super fussed. I'll be like, do you want to keep doing this or do you want to come learn about piloting?
And I've been in that room and I don't want to go. I'm like, I'll keep doing this. This is fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. You go ahead.
Boz will kind of reach out, grab your hand and like put whatever tool, screwdriver, space screwdriver, like in your hand, like just go slow.
And I think you see Boz walk off and you see me like adjust a thing and squeak the door and adjust the thing and squeak the door and squeak the door. And then I adjust it one more time. And then I just like squeak, 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 squeak. And then it cuts away.
Love it.
So good.
Cool. So that was just, I just wanted to do that as a set piece because you folks asked the question of what happens when the box goes through the gate.
Yeah.
And, so I wanted to answer it for you. So anyway, let me give you the details of the job, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what approach you're going to take to the job.
Sure.
So now that you open up the files that Satane sent you, you discover that the job is actually, there's a faction called the Yaru. And the Yaru's official name is the Makers Guild. And they're one of the creepy guilds of the hegemony. Thank you, Sean, for making sure that they're involved in the story. I actually rolled them up randomly.
Okay.
And, every guild of the hegemony is a powerhouse that usually owns patents on an entire type of technology. So the Star Shapers Guild actually has dominion and control via hegemonic law over all ship engines and stargates and hyperspace lane travel. So you can't theoretically get a ship without a Starshaper Guild engine, even though a lot of times the pirates will raid a ship and take their engine. And
they're just borrowing. It's already been greenlit.
Yeah, we'll call it that. So the Makers Guild actually has the patents on genetic engineering, and they're responsible for a lot of things, like creating types of flora that will flourish on planets that are still being terraformed and things like that. So they make super wheat or whatever. But the thing that they're best known for, which you will be seeing here shortly, is they actually print. They're like force-grown clones. So they're effectively replicants with an expiration date. So in any case, when you actually look at the job, what you realize is that the person you're supposed to rescue is actually in a Yara installation on Lithios, which is actually not a very populated planet. It's kind of a shithole that isn't used a whole lot. And they have a creche there, which is what they call their little bases that they grow things in. And so you have a gene stamp ident. So you're supposed to find and locate one of these force-grown clones. And the job tells you that it's an extremely time-sensitive operation because you need to get them like ASAP. They have like a timestamp. You have to get them by this time and date. Otherwise, it's null and void. And then your drop-off point is a meetup in space. You're supposed to like take a hyperspace lane, turn off your engines about halfway through, and then fly into the middle of nowhere for like an hour, and you're supposed to dock with a ship there. So it's obviously like hush-hush secret handoff. So anyway, that's the parameters of the job to give you an idea, and you folks kind of take it away. What I'm looking for here is an approach. So if you actually look at the like full-blown character sheets, like in the PDF, in the bottom, there's like types of plans. So there's like an assault plan, a deception plan, an infiltration plan, a mystic plan, a social plan, or a transport plan. And as long as we can figure out the type of job and the detail required in order to get us started, we can just jump right into the job, because we assume that you folks, being competent and intelligent people, are going to do a bunch of planning and you're going to know what you're doing, but we're going to just like jump right into the action. And then if we need to do some planning, we can flash back to that moment and say, oh, well, we clearly planned for this and we brought X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. Well, point of note, it's in Roll20 as well. So we've got that there.
Oh, sweet.
The most obvious thing to me seems like a transport plan. The deal is just we're smuggling this person. We know the locations. We know the route. It's not, the goal is to put the person on the ship without them seeing it. But
that's actually where the problem is you're not going to land and have the person handed to you. That's
yeah, it seems more like an infiltration plan to me.
Can be.
The trick is like you've got the ship, you've got getting from the ship to the ground, you've got like you can't assume that the clone wants to come with us.
Right. But I think the job that the plan that we pick will indicate the place where we run into conflict, right? So if we say we're going to do an assault plan, then obviously we're going to have to blast them out of some place or stun them into coming with us or something like that.
Got it.
Because we get to pick what the detail is, so we can pick that we're going to assault a clone and knock them out and drag them with us. I don't advocate for this. It
doesn't seem like the thing.
That's not what I want to do, but I was throwing it out there.
Okay, I understand better now what you're saying.
So, like, for example, if the big question here is, how do you get in the facility? Like, if you pose as some big muckety-mucks who are looking for a specially grown clone or something, then it's probably a deception plan, right? If you are going to park your ship nearby and try and sneak in through the vents, it's probably an infiltration plan. If, I don't know, like, and I mean, there's variations on this. Like, obviously, you can pretend to be delivering supplies, or maybe even knock out a ship with supplies and actually take their supplies and deliver them, but also sneak off and steal something.
Sure.
It's completely up to you guys.
Sure. What's the name? This planet's name is Lithos, right?
Lithios.
Lithios.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's an ice ball.
Yeah.
And there's really cool little like ice sail sleds that I'm sure you put contraband weapons on and then go meet other people and seal the deals with, because
Absolutely.
Oz wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Is Boz excited about having some ice sailboats? And
Yes.
some little like
Yes.
skis and
Yes.
catch the winds of Lithios.
Deeply.
Are there sled dogs on this planet?
Now there are.
Sledzinos.
I mean, they may not actually be dogs. They're probably some sort of alien beastie, but I'm sure there is a creature that's.
But they're cute, right?
And carnivorous.
Can be.
By some definition of cute.
By some definition of cute, yes.
I'm sure they are adorable.
Great.
I think I'm in favor of a deception or an infiltration plan. I feel like either bullshitting our way to get close enough, or landing as a civilian and then sneaking in are both kind of seem like our strong suits. I would say a social plan could work if we had a social connection, which
I could have.
You could have.
Is a thing that I can do.
Yep.
I have a feeling. I feel like Lauren didn't want to take this job. Lauren wanted to pursue this ambassador, right? Who's close by, that kind of cost him his job.
Did we like hoodwink you and like peer pressure you without doing as much because you made us eat our money?
Yeah, I think that.
So
yeah. I think I said we need money and we're going to do it. Also, I hadn't read the specs because now that I've read them, Faye is less inclined as well. But hey, it's the job. We're going to do it.
Right.
So, I think the most important part is honestly, what do you all think would be fun? That's I think
I feel like deception would be the most fun.
Because it inevitably goes awry and then we can hit something.
Awesome. So the method then is what we have to choose. Josh had suggested that we could pretend to be high muckety mucks who want to buy something and see that. I mean, I don't know that we're good at looking like high muckety mucks, but we could be incognito. The other thing
You're keeping poor company.
I'm good at it.
That's true. We could be.
Lauren is good.
Lauren could be the buyer and we could be the hired help.
I wonder if maybe so here's the theory is that Lauren's like, okay, I can pose as the buyer and then you two can be my servants. And then I imagine perhaps Faye was like, oh no, you and I are the buyers, and somehow convinces Lauren that like they have to pretend to be like a married couple who are looking for some additional servants for their house.
Oh, wow. I think this is a brilliant idea. It's not the thing that would come to mind to Faye, but if we got to that by circuitous route, I could see her agreeing to it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
She might say, no, we're the buyers out of pride, and then suddenly realize, like, oh, I guess that means we're a couple. Oh, okay.
Sure.
Yeah. And she's very she's uncomfortable with all of this. She's uncomfortable with pretending to be Lauren's spouse, and she's also uncomfortable with the idea of going to purchase people.
Sure. And backing down, right? Like from this pitch, realizing like you put your foot in your mouth almost.
Yeah.
It's like at that like sort of lull, Boss is like, great, I'm the head of your security.
So keep in mind that presumably at some point, some of you are going to have to sneak off or peel off in order to go and
find this replicant.
Acquire this clone.
Yep. Oh, we'll figure that out.
All right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the great thing about a 3-person party. You're always so okay. So to make this have impact that's not just in my head.
Yeah.
When Faye says, okay, you and I are going to be the buyers because she's all proud and doesn't want Lauren to be like one up above her, and then I'm gonna posit that Lauren suggests the whole couple thing, if that's okay.
Yeah.
With you, Jory.
Yeah.
Flashback to Faye and Boz in the cockpit, and Faye being like, "Is Lauren okay? Is he doing all right? I mean, have you made up? Like, because you kind of had that fight. You're okay now? He's not mad at me, right? Or you either, right? He's not upset with you for anything you did or that I did.
Or you. Or
he's
me.
not mad at me
No.
because you threw food at him, right? Or maybe because I insulted his friend.
You
Dumb
really
friend.
didn't like Space Church, did you?
Yeah, you're right. I don't. I didn't. I don't. I will not.
You almost got us in trouble.
Yeah, but Lauren's not upset about that, right?
Maybe you should ask Lauren. You should.
Cut to, fine, I'll be your wife. Sure.
Yep.
So I think Faye says that to Lauren, and Lauren's like, "Okay, you're gonna have to lose all of this. This gotta go.
This is my look. This is how I look fancy.
No, it's not.
Faye,
It's
they'll
not.
know it's you.
So
Keep the coat. The coat is nice, but all
It's a fine
the
coat.
things gotta go.
So there's before you guys like land on Lithios,
Yeah.
there's I mean, like, as you approach the planet, it's this giant ice ball, and you see that they have these huge made out of like little hexagonal mirrors. They have these huge arrays that focus sunlight down onto the populated areas. When you land, it's probably in like a spaceport that has one of those like artificial suns like beaming down heat from the sky. And I like there's a little bit of a city underground, and you see like some of those ice sailboats, and you see these like weird alien dog-like creatures that people are like, who's a good dog? And it's like 6 foot tall and has like razor fangs that's like, wow. For some definitions of cute, right?
Yes.
Like they hug them, and they're like small horses, essentially.
Icelandic pony dogs.
I'm
Yes,
so happy
Icelandic pony dogs. And yeah, people have like like hoods and parkas, and they wear these like masks to protect their faces from like the cold. But once you go underground,
Snow goggles.
there's like a little bit of a heating system that's absorbing some of the light from those artificial suns, and it's nicer. And you can actually find like a place that does like outfits and maybe does tailored outfits. So what does the montage look like here? Because the moment that you're like, you're gonna have to lose this look, we of course have to see the like 15 outfits and then find out what the last one is. So
Right.
And then cut to the first one.
Of course.
We got back to the first one. It doesn't look all that different than Faye's normal thing. So yeah, so Faye has long black hair and sort of a dark complexion, and I think there's several, and this blue and green leather jacket. So the hitch is like Faye's like the jacket stays. So whatever it is has to go kind of with that, and it's fitted, like it doesn't hang down to her waist. It kind of cuts in a little bit of right above. It's not like a big heavy duster, so lots of things can kind of go underneath it and work fine. But I think just to make her somewhat awkward, it's like it's a pale like very soft blue blouse underneath it, and a emerald green, like the flare of where her jacket is worn away, skirt underneath that. That is like, of course she's tried like 19 outfits with pants and none of them have been quite right, so it's the one with skirts that she's finally like, okay, fine.
Yeah. And I think the process of what we see is like Lauren is like sitting on the bench in front of the fitting room, and clearly the first outfit is one that Faye chose, and she comes out and it's like these big voluminous pants and like tiered sleeves of something, and he's just like, no, go back. And then the second one is something obviously that he chose, which is like a classy but kind of slinky black dress, like floor length and heels, and Faye's just like
walks out like all like, ooh.
Yeah.
Each of us have to be disgusted by one outfit, right? Like Boz has to be grossed out by the next one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this show writes itself. Like we don't need to.
Right. No, we're just following the breadcrumbs we've magically built.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so we end up with that look that everyone's kind of like, oh, well, all right.
Cool. So how are you guys? So clearly we've established a little bit of a deception plan. Lauren is going to pose as a rich buyer, and Faya is going to be said rich buyer's wife, and they're finding some additional manpower for their estate that they're.
Well, what do we know about this replicant that we're picking up? Do we know any details about them? We must know enough to like identify them.
I mean, keep in mind that most Yaru are made in batches.
Yeah.
So they look identical to.
Sure. Like, do they have like a serial number or?
Yes, you have a gene stamp. So if you can get into a database or something there, you can easily just be like, looking for IDENT number 1973213445, and it'll like show up. Like I'm not. You have the information necessary to locate them inside their systems if you have access to their systems.
Cool.
Keep in mind that the Makers Guild, the Yaru, are actually a guild, so their tech level is a little bit higher than what you'll see most places. Like if you're in the fitting room with the dresses and everything, they might have a cool tablet-looking screen for checkout, but they're not. They don't have like 3D printing dresses or something like that. Like that they're much closer to what we would expect in our tech level, especially because Lithios is a lower tech level than most planets.
Right.
But inside that actual guild structure, their tech levels are much, much higher. So they're not the engineering guild, which is like, crazy out there. But yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, I like it. But I think that while we're doing that, while we're sort of on planet inside the base, before we make the proposition, we can do a little ferreting of information about with using the gene stamp and finding out enough to sound not completely like we have no idea what we're talking about.
Cool. Yeah. You're it's actually you do yeah, sure. You're probably going to get some information. You have at least the model number, and the model number is of a young man. I mean, they gene print them, so looks like some attractive yet vaguely non-threatening star of a CW show. Like you have like an imprint number, and you have a photo, so you know what they're supposed to look like, so you're not going to get the wrong one by accident.
Cool. Yeah.
Are the clones made such that like we're like, well, this model clone, the John is for mining, and this model, the Blake, is for fashion?
Frequently, yes. If you're rich enough, you can get one custom made for you. But the ones that are custom made are usually, they start from a base model and then they're modified before being force grown. So there are a lot of stories about what goes on in there, but very few people actually get to see the process. So it's not actually very well known by most people. Everybody has some theory or another. But yeah, in general, the John, it's exactly how you described.
Cool.
So would we, because we know what he looks like, have an idea of what kind of clone, like what he was made for?
He is actually a servant type.
Okay.
So they're supposed to be, essentially most Yaru actually aren't super high functioning. So you're not going to get Yaru that are like artistic or incredibly intelligent, but they're not like primal or animal level. Like they can perform complex functions. Like some are built to be soldiers, and they can make decisions. They're just not terribly like.
They need a leader.
Yeah, that's generally how it works.
So beyond being uncomfortable with her, beyond being uncomfortable with this dressing up and like losing her fashion and feeling slightly out of place, Faye is also uncomfortable with this like process as a whole. So at some point, I would like to gather information about this model. You may have already told us everything we can, but I'd like to give it a shot. Go to one of their public access terminals and drop some space bits in and do some rudimentary studying. But I'd like to do it with Boz while maybe Lauren is like paying for the outfit or something like that. If that is doable. And I turn to Boz and I'm like, so I don't want to sound like I'm against everything. Like I don't want to sound like I hate the church and I hate the Urbots, and I don't want to sound like I'm negative Nancy here, but like I don't really like this. I know this is our job, but I'm not actually really okay with the idea that we're going to go pretend to buy somebody, or that people buy people, or any of that. I don't want to be negative, Stacy.
You're just saying what everybody already thinks.
Okay. So we're all on the same page that we're just saying this, and we're going to take this person. Maybe we're going to free them, but we're not going to buy them.
Well, we're not buying them, but we don't know what happens to them after this, right?
But we could ask them.
Will that change your decision?
Will it change yours? She tries to turn it around.
I asked first.
I think we'll have to find out. And that's why I turn away and be like, let's see what we can find. So can I study? Right. Can I study to learn more about this model?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna click buttons.
Please do.
Yeah.
You look so weird without all your shiny spangles.
I feel weird without my shiny spangles.
It's okay. You're famous, so now no one's going to know it's you. Total surprise.
Is this a fortune roll, Josh, or is this
an actual roll? It's a straight up fortune roll.
Okay.
You're gathering info, but you're not hacking anything.
I'm trying to go with publicly accessible things. Is this the kind of thing that researching might show up on somebody's firewall database of what's happening? It depends on
how deep you go. It's unlikely. I mean, you're looking for general information about models, and you can easily do research on a couple of different models to sort of like throw up smoke screens.
Cool. All right.
It's pre-shopping. Like that's what you're just pulling pre-shopping information before you make a house call.
Yeah.
Right? Before you go to the store, you do your research. It's only
cool.
Really gross.
All right. Well, let's see how I do with my one die study. Not so great.
So you find basically the publicly available information, nothing too deep.
Yeah.
They talk about how Model 153 has certain improvements from other models because they've been imprinted with additional skill sets, and they can actually do sommelier level wine tasting and stuff like that.
Whoa.
They tell you that this model in particular has been improved in the last 7 years, unlike the other models previously, which could only live up to 5. Blah, 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 all your household needs.
Yeah, I think I get kind of grossed out, and that's why I don't dig further. I'm like, oh, this is gross. Not grossed out because there's anything like gory. Grossed out because she doesn't like the idea this one's been programmed to live 7 years as opposed to this one's been programmed to live 5.
People as commodities.
Yeah, that's the thing.
In the hegemony, the Yaru are not common because they're not necessarily cheap, but they're common enough that people have seen them, and the prevailing attitude is that they're clearly not people, because you couldn't possibly do things like this to people.
Yeah.
But
so we draw those lines in a way that's convenient to commerce.
You got it. It is pretty yucky. Which is, I remember when I wrote this faction, I was extremely uncomfortable with them, but I felt like they needed to be in there. And then of course Sean is like, I would like to put them in the forefront.
And then I dug them up. Yes. So a bit of background to show Faye's discomfort, but also that this is absolutely something Sean asked for. So Faye's parents are Yaru scientists, like her birth parents, and and she was raised by adoptive parents who she really resents, but she knows that this she is affiliated with this, and so a lot of her discomfort is not out of, oh my god, they do this, that's so horrible, I'd never imagine it. It's like, this is this yucky part that I know about my past and I don't like it. And she tries to distance herself from it, but it's not from unfamiliarity. It's
just as a note for everyone, since we saw it in Faye's dream last time, in particular the way that you distinguish Yaru from people is all Yaru are imprinted with this weird red sigil on their foreheads. It's not identical, it varies from model to model, but all of them have it. So when you see one, if they have the marking, they are. And if you recall, Alor, actually, when he used to be a space pirate, we decided that he had these Yaru on his ship, and he had tried liberating them and giving them a purpose outside of whatever the hell they were programmed for.
Yeah.
So it's not a universally held belief, but it is certainly something that's out there.
Yeah, it's a convenient. Like you said, and it's a convenient idea to make commerce keep flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Groovy.
So I think you're researching that, and Boz is kind of like, well, yeah, and I come up and I'm like, all right, honey, let's go.
We have an argument over whose arm goes over who. Like, I'll take your arm, no, you'll take my arm.
Like, no.
Until Faye kind of like grabs your hand instead. Like.
Great.
You're adorable.
Awesome. So I feel like we have a starting position, and I would really like to make the engagement roll before we take our break. Is that cool?
Yeah.
That sounds great.
All right. So because I have my super awesome copy of Blades.
Oh my god, it's the first game ever with Blades. The physical. It's probably not true. I'm sure other people have been streaming.
No, it's definitely not true. But
mine showed up today too.
Conveniently here. I'm going to take a quick look, and I'm going to look up the engagement rules. So we're going to assemble the engagement die pool and see what position you folks start in. So
what does that mean?
So basically, because we're skipping over all the planning and the parts that are like super boring, like, okay, do you rent some like sled dog creatures and ski your way out there? Yes. Okay, well, what does it look like when you come up to the door? Basically, if you watch any heist film, the interesting part isn't the steps that we already know. The interesting part is when things go wrong.
Utterly.
We are not going to look at this job if everything goes smooth as butter and nothing ever goes wrong, because that's not fun for us or for the viewers. And so what's going to happen is there's going to be some part of the job where something takes a hard right turn. Like everything goes smooth until the person that you researched is not on duty today, or you go into the room where you're supposed to type in the command to find the person and guards walk in on you and things like that. So what we're going to roll is to see what kind of a position you're in somewhere near the beginning of the job when like a twist or an interesting problem occurs. So if you roll really well, you're in a control position and you guys see it coming and you can react before it happens or whatnot. And if you roll really poorly, then it's a trap or you know, like you're outgunned or you're in a desperate position because they found out something about you or whatnot. So basically this skips a lot of the planning and sort of gets us to the exciting part and tells us what the exciting part is going to look like.
Before, after, right, coterminous with engagement, we should also pick our load, and we reset our gambit at the start of the score. So our gambit, I'm just going to pull it up.
It's going to go to 3.
It's going to 3, right? Because
I should get, I'm planning to get some like really cool tokens for gambits, but I haven't had the chance. So I'll have those for next time. Maybe I'll look during break or something. I don't know.
All right, I'm updating the sheet with 3 gambit. Is 3 the default for the Stardancer?
It's 2 for the Stardancer plus 1 because you have a scoundrel.
Yep.
For example, the bounty hunter ship, the server starts with only 1 because they're not really a luck-based crew. It varies from ship to ship. Some ships start with more, and some ships start with less. Just how it goes. Oh, and there is a crew upgrade that costs 2 boxes that gives you +1 starting gambit. So, awesome. So this is how the engagement roll works. You always start with 1 die for sheer luck. Then we answer some questions. The first question is this operation particularly bold or daring?
I don't think so yet. I don't feel like we've walked into the lion's den yet. We're definitely just kind of BS our way into stealing a clone. So that maybe, but I don't know how crazy that is yet.
So right. So if it is, we don't know it.
Yeah. I think you might have to tell us, Josh. Is this crazy?
If your plan is to fly above the installation and parachute in through the chimney, that's incredibly bold and daring. Yeah. If your plan is to go in posing as buyers and not looking for too much hostility or trouble, I would say maybe not.
Okay. Yeah. I don't feel like it is either.
I don't feel like it's particularly brave or bold or daring. Is this operation complex or contingent on a ton of factors? Yeah, I don't feel like it is.
I don't think so. It's contingent, but no more so than like any plan. We sneak in, get the clone, leave. Like,
yeah, if you guys had a bunch of planning or a lot of, well, if X is the case.
Okay, got it.
So if there is a lot of contingencies, you get -1D. Does the plan's detail expose the vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest?
I don't know. I don't know if the Yaru are weak to social or deception plans. Are they prepared for this kind of, I mean, obviously people do this, like people come and buy clones, right? We're doing a thing, we're following the plan because it's something that we believe would normally happen, but I don't know if they're, how much they check people's background and that kind of thing. Like if they just take it for granted that if someone comes to buy a clone, they mean it, then maybe, but I'm not sure. I don't know well enough.
Yeah, I don't know that they're particularly weak against this.
Yeah, I don't feel like we collectively as characters know enough about them to kind of find or exploit a weak spot. It's just like, this seems like a decent plan, guys.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
And then if the target is particularly strong against the approach, you get -1D, but I don't feel like they are. So I think this is still even. So you guys are still at 1 die, flat out. Next up, can any friends or contacts provide aid or insight for the operation?
Who knows someone?
Well, Siani gave us the job. Satani. Why? Satani. I've written this down like 4 times. Satani. Satani gave us a job and gave us some information, but I don't know if that provides us any aid in.
It's like who you know in town, like who, like
yeah.
Right.
It's not just that. So I'm going to give you guys some like a quick thing that you could do. You could just be like, oh yeah, well, we flash back and we're like, all right, we're going to need some credentials and other things. You're an info broker. Can you like give us some backstopped identities for a buyer?
Yeah.
And, usually that requires an acquire asset. So that's usually a downtime tech thing. But I mean, for this time, I'm willing to hand wave it, and then after this, I'll be a little bit more stringent with my yeah, it's fine.
Well, I think hold on. I think we might be able to. I'm wondering. I'm going to pull up the PDF as to what spy gear entitles, or if there's anything on. We might actually have a bit of gear that we could justify them giving us as.
What you don't know is that your client is willing to actually put some funds forward to try and give you guys a little bit of a leg up, which coming through Satani would definitely give you guys, like, I think you get some benefits.
Cool.
You probably have, like, part of the reason why you're able to buy fancy dresses is a little bit of baksheesh, you know, and things like that.
Yeah.
So, cool. And then, are there any enemies or rivals interfering with your operation? Well, fortunately, the people that are chasing you are not currently on planet yet, so you're not quite yet in trouble.
Oh,
no -1.
Word.
And finally, are there any other elements? Maybe a lower tier target gives you +1D, a higher tier target gives you -1D. So the Yaru are a higher tier target. So unfortunately, that would be a -1D, which I think.
Question about
go ahead.
Question about Scum and Villainy though. We never have tier, so
it's your crew quality. Your crew quality is compared to tier.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So you guys are theoretically 0. Now the Yaru are not super powerful. I think they're only like 2, but they're still ahead enough, and you are kind of coming at them in sort of like their place of power, their home base.
Yep.
One of them. So in that case, they actually have a fair bit of resources to bring to bear.
Right.
Which. It doesn't mean that they're like they've got guns out and they're waiting to like shoot you folks or anything, but it does mean that, like, you know, they've got like cameras and like locks and scanners and stuff like that, and so like there is some obstacles to this that we are assuming you're doing in the background, but that's part of what reflects in the role.
Yeah. Awesome. So I think we're at 1 die.
Yep. Who wants to roll it?
I've been rolling marvelously so far.
I'll roll.
I've gotten a 2.
Do it.
So if you click on Roll Fortune down below your friends, you can type in the name, like engagement roll, and then select to roll 1 die.
Yeah, 1. All right. Hey, you guys!
Nice.
So this means that when everything starts getting interesting, you guys are actually going to be in a pretty good position.
Nice.
But I feel like maybe we should pick that up.
Yeah, no, let's start in the action after we come back for this. So after we come back from a break, that's the words I wanted. All right.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we will be back soon to get into this Yarrow base and see how it goes.
It'll be
See y'all
fine.
in a bit.